All right, everyone. We are going to begin our post-race media availabilities for tonight's NASCAR All-Star Race here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. We are joined by the crew chief of the race-winning team, which was the number 20 Mobile One Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, driven by Christopher Bell. We have Adam Stevens here. We will open it directly up for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We will get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start up here with Kelly. Tyler's hustling to you.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. A couple things, Adam. First off, when the caution came out, what was the final caution? Was there any question of whether or not to stay out or to pit?
Not for us. I felt like we were in a spot where we probably weren't good enough to pass the 22. I mean, we had multiple opportunities to do it and weren't able to get it done. It seemed like our cars were just super equal, and once one of us got out front, it was going to be pretty hard work to get around them. So we felt like we knew what we had to do to give ourselves the best chance to win.
Bell collided with Gregson, I believe it was, exiting pit road. Any concern? It looked like a pretty big hit. Any concern of damage or beating a fender in?
Yeah, there was concern. Not so much on the fender side with these composite bodies. They're really resilient to that level of contact, probably even more contact. What you worry about is toe link. But it looked like he steered away from them at the point in time that they made contact. Still not convinced it might not be bent slightly, but it wasn't enough to upset the car for the amount of work we had left to do. But never fun when you're in those situations, and something that you're always concerned about when you're in a two-tire situation.
We'll go to Matt.
Matt Weaver, The Sporting News. I got a couple for you, too. When all the guys in front of you who stayed out, obviously the car is very good and you've got a great driver. But in real time, are you still confident in how that plays out, or do you start to play the what-if arrow game and all the things that could go wrong?
I mean, yes and no. Once we've made our decisions, there's nothing else I'm going to do about it, right? So I'm a mere spectator at that point. But I did not feel great about being that far back with that many laps to go. I think the key was that we cleared those couple cars quick, and that let us set our sights on the leaders. Then we got up there to Joey in just a handful of laps. So that let us kind of figure out where his strengths and weaknesses were and then use that to our advantage. So the key to that was Bell making quick work of those first few cars.
And then you've worked with a superstar before, and I think Christopher's coming into his own, and it's different than, say, what Kyle was, because Christopher is so understated and subtle in his personality type compared to the Rowdy persona, right? So I'm curious, when it comes to managing both of those personalities or the expectations associated with that, how are they different? Are they similar? Does it change your role, or you're just this is your team?
I mean, they're probably more similar than people realize. When KB was on the racetrack with his helmet on, he was a little bit more vocal. Rarely negative toward myself or the team. I think he had a stretch when he was that way, but it was before my time. And then in the office, super focused, super hardworking, knows what to shoulder and what to put on other people's shoulders, and is very fair about it. And Bell's the same way. I think the difference is behind the wheel and on the radio that you guys are all privy to, and it probably seems more stark in that manner. But behind the scenes and the work they put in and their dedication and their commitment to the team, very, very similar. Utmost respect for both of them and how they do their work. And Bell came up through the Kyle Busch school to some degree. And I know that both of them have a lot of respect for each other, and they race each other that way. It would be eye-opening if you guys were privy to how much they have in common, I guess. And I think a lot of that comes with the immense God-given talent that they have and how they've been able to harness it and the work that they put in to be great. And it's pretty humbling to be a part of two careers in that manner.
Sky Sprinkle Raceface Digital. I'm curious, did your team and you especially envision the track evolving as much and the lanes moving around that much in just 1 year? And where do you feel like this track may be, 3-4 more years down the road?
That's a great question. Short answer would be no. I know when they tested here a couple years ago, it was completely miserable. I was not here, but it was just so slick and so nasty and so slow and just awful. And as we've come back, it's just gotten better and better and better. And every race we've had here has actually been halfway decent. So, and this one was exceptional. I did not see the bottom groove being as competitive as it was this time around. It seemed like it migrated middle top pretty quick last year, and you kind of had to be good there. But this time around, it almost seemed like middle top of 1 and 2 and lower in 3 and 4 could have been preferred. And then out of nowhere, Larson starts running the Homestead line almost and making time. So this place is aging quickly and aging well, and it's got a lot of character, obviously, in more ways than one. And it races really competitive and gives you a lot of opportunities to do different things with your car and the driver to do different things behind the wheel to affect the balance.
Go to Dustin in the front.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. A year ago, you won the Coke 600, so a major race for Christopher. And I'm just curious, as we come up on that in the last year, the successes and challenges of late last season, winning the 3 races, winning this All-Star race. We know how good he is. We know this is a championship quality team, but how has he evolved and how maybe has this team evolved in the last year since the Coke 600 as we come up on a calendar year from that?
That's a great question. Last year we just weren't able to capitalize the second half, maybe last 2/3 of the season. There were tremendous number of races where we had race-winning speed, and for whatever reason, a lot of them didn't work out. And you have to go through the calendar individually to pick them all apart. And that's frustrating when you're in the middle of it. You want to win, and Bell wants to win immensely. So it's frustrating for myself. It's frustrating for the team. And our conversion rate was low. And this year, our conversion rate has been extremely high. On top of being competitive, I would say the competitiveness is similar to last year, maybe a little bit weaker on the intermediates and similar everywhere else. And we've just been able to convert. But, you can't let the lows get you too low and the highs get you too high. There's just a tremendous amount of work to do throughout the season and prep for each individual weekend. And our teammates and competitors are extremely strong. And it's not hard to get beat. It doesn't take much of a mistake or much of an opportunity for somebody to weasel in there and win with a non-dominant car. So I think you see the field being a lot closer together this year as everybody starts to figure out these cars. It's not a lot of difference between top 3 or 4 pace and top 20 pace. So the series is getting tougher in that regard. So
when you talk about that rate of conversion, it's easy to look from the outside. Oh, things didn't go well last year, they're going well this year. It just evens out in sports. I'm guessing maybe you think a little bit of that, but you probably don't. So why are you? What are you guys doing? Why are you converting more now than what you feel like you had from last year, or the lessons from last year that help with this year?
Yeah, I'm not one of those guys that feels like it evens out. You called that right. I feel like when one slips through your fingers, that's an opportunity missed. And why are we able to do that this year? The honest answer is I don't know. And the second honest answer is if I did know, I sure wouldn't tell you. There's absolutely no way. But, I think the biggest thing is everybody's pulling the rope in the same direction. I think we made a lot of smart moves as a company this last couple years, and especially this last off season. And it feels like we're all working on the right things and all working together and pulling the rope in the same direction.
It's easy for us to look outside. That's Chris Gabehart.
He's a big part of it for sure.
How much more is it him, or how much more is it beyond that? Because that's the biggest change that we see.
Yeah, well, I would say so. He's one of 450, and there's lots of departments, and it takes all of us. And the pit department's a big part of that. Assembly. I mean, you just go down through there. The body shop, everyone, and we're always optimizing and always willing to make the tough changes to get better. And Gabehart's been a big part of that for sure. Yeah.
Do we have any final questions for Adam before we move on? The questions for Adam? Okay, we'll go to Steve, and then we'll let Adam go to his next media availability.
Steve Schweitzer with Alaska Press. It seems like more so than previous editions of the car, the next-gen car, when it gets in clean air, is just so difficult to pass. Can you explain why that's the case?
I don't know if it's worse. I think the intermediate package, you wouldn't necessarily say that. I would say I personally feel like it's more track and tire dependent than it is clean air dependent anymore. There's a lot of tracks that are only about a lane or a lane and a half on each end as far as the preferred groove, and it's tough with cars that are evenly matched to get out of the preferred groove and make a pass. Some tracks you can run on every square inch of it, and you don't have that problem, But if cars are moving through the air, aerodynamics is going to be a factor. That's just the long and short of it. And we can change the spoiler and change the sides and all that stuff, and it still doesn't change the fundamental physics that the leader's going to have an advantage.
All right, Adam, congratulations. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll
Thank
send
you, guys.
your
That was
way.
awesome. Thank you.
And we are also joined by the team owner of the number 20 Mobile One Toyota, Joe Gibbs. We'll go straight to questions for Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic from.
Let me say, you were talking to the right guy, not me. That guy is awesome at what his job is. He made a great call tonight. Just really appreciate the 20 team. And every time I think about this, I was going to take off. I'm sorry. But I was just going to thank our sponsors mean so much to us. And tonight it was Mobile on the car. That car is Ream, has been a huge deal for us. And staying there with that car, Stanley, Black & Decker, everybody there. And so our sponsors there, Reese's, it's just a huge deal for us and a huge deal for our company. So I just really am thankful for the fact that we can get a win like this, a huge TV night for all of our sponsors and everybody on the car. Just really appreciate them.
Awesome. We'll start here with Ben. We'll go to Matt, then we'll go to Scotty.
Okay. Ben White with the Fayetteville, North Carolina Observer. Just a thought, if you would, about Christopher. It seems like when he's in pressure situations, he does best. I mean, would you agree with that? He just seems like he's just calm and cool. The harder and more aggressive things become. Would you say?
I would. I think I would. Adam is the same. I mean, making calls like that get a chance. You're taking a chance there. I appreciate what he's doing so much. In football, I was that guy on the sideline, so I appreciate that because a lot of pressure on that. He made a great call tonight. I think with Christopher, if you remember, our first year with him was COVID. He was getting put in cars without any practice. He was getting put in a cup car. And so you watch him go through all that, and he just has he's steadily after it. He's steadily improved. And I think him and Adam have a real unique bond, which is a huge deal, and you have to have it at this level. And, right now, I think he's at the top of his game, to be quite truthful. And the other part of Christopher, All-American kid. I got to tell you. I don't think I've ever had a problem other than getting him signed, paying him the money.
Matt Weaver, The Sporting News. You mentioned Christopher being at the top of his game. I'm curious. I know that you guys within the halls at Huntersville respect and admire him because he has such an understated kind of low-key personality. Do you think fans and the industry at large really appreciate how good he is?
I pick it up all the time, Sirius Radio, all the time. You guys know and really respect the people that can get it done in NASCAR. It's really hard. This is a hard deal, okay? And it's pointed out all the time. Real talented people get to this level, can't do it. This is a big deal. And I think everybody in the sport that knows the sport really appreciates him. And I pretty much hear it all the time. People are picking him to win. And so I think he does and certainly has earned the respect of everyone. And so I think people put him in that category. He's raced all the off-road dirt stuff with Kyle, and so he's gained a lot of respect there. So anyway, I think he's just, he's earned his way, I feel like, to be considered one of the best.
And then you guys made some very publicized changes in the off season, and last year you guys got off to a good start too. So I'm curious, there's always that potential of another second half swoon. Are you hands-on in that regard? Do you trust leadership to be the guy that puts the pressure there? Like, what is your role in making sure you guys don't fall off?
No, I am not the technical person over here, and so my role is to help pick the people, okay, deal with issues that we have all the time, which comes up in a pro sport, okay, and I said the biggest thrill that I have is the first of every month trying to pay the bills. So I got to get the money. So I'm chasing sponsors and stuff a lot too, but it's mostly the people issues where we spend most of my time. And so, it's making sure that our competitive side has everything that it takes, and we got great people over there. You win with people in pro sports. It's not a single person or anyone. It's a total team effort. And if you get the right people together, you're going to have a chance to win because they're going to make you look good. But my role is, you could probably say more of a minor role in this thing, is keeping everybody heading in the right direction and being able to get the resources for everybody. Yeah.
Go to Scotty.
Scotty Sprinkle, Race Face Digital. I know this isn't a points race, but this is still Joe Gibbs Racing first win at North Wilkesboro Speedway. How much does that mean to you to win at such a historic facility and, something that'll be in the sport probably for many years to come?
Well, if you want to talk about how hard the sport is, I think I'm right on this. I don't know how many times we've been in the All-Star Race. It's got to be around 30 or 25, whatever it is. That was the third time we won. We could not win this thing. And I always think back to, we were at Charlotte, and I think we had Denny and Kyle Busch, and with 3 laps to go, we were 1-2. I'd already spent the money. And with 2 laps to go, they wrecked each other. So anyway, we've had a tough time winning this. And so I think it says how hard it is to win the All-Star Race. And I think people, I know people really respect that. Great crowd tonight. I would say that people are probably going to give us a positive on the racing too.
Do we have any additional questions for Coach? Go up front here to Dustin.
Yeah.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Joe, you see the different development of athletes, and you've seen it throughout your years, in different years. And how has Christopher developed, and how have you seen? Obviously, I know you say the challenges of his first year not getting that testing time and the practice time. Where is he making the next steps from, potentially making the championship race, as he had 2 of the last 3 years and could have last year, to that greatness, that superstar level that you've worked with other athletes and seen? Yeah. How is he making that progression?
Well, I think our sport, everybody that's in the sport, obviously the media, all of us that make our living in it, are kind of looking at the talent. I think we respect that so much because we know how hard it is. And so I think he is reaching a point, and you've got to do it. There's no way to buy it. You can't talk your way up. You got to race your way up. I think he's doing that and earning respect, and it's almost each and every week. And so I think everybody considers him now one of the guys that can win every weekend. And I also think he's really good at almost every type of track we go to, for sure. He's a road racer, and I think so. I don't think he has a weakness. So hopefully what's going to happen, the farther we go, you've got to earn your way and win. And hopefully as he wins, he'll keep gaining respect and certainly being in the playoffs. We had a heartbreak last year, but he's been in there 2 years in a row. For a young guy, that's a big deal. And so winning championships also is a big part of it. So it's all out there. And for him, I hope we can surround him with everything. I think he has the great crew chief. I think the pit crew is really good. And so I think all of us in the support role on the competitive side too, making the moves that we've made there can really help him reach the goals that we think he can.
Every driver's different, but obviously the points leader is Kyle Larson, the guy who races a lot of sprint car stuff, and obviously, you know, I know Christopher's gotten be allowed to do a little bit more of that. How has the comfort level of that for you, and do you see that as something that is helpful, or even though it's a completely different piece of machinery?
I think I think here's kind of how I feel about it. I think these guys, some of them, they don't have other hobbies. They don't have other things they want to do. And so I think it's kind of a thrill for them, and they love that. And it gives them something to do during the week when they're not all consumed with the cup stuff on the side. So that's kind of how I look at it. Is I think there's got to be a balance to it, because this is where you're going to, I think, wind up making a career out of it. Obviously, this is where you financially going to make everything about. And I always talk about, I think NASCAR is the place that someday when you sit down as a granddad, you're going to talk about NASCAR, because that's how important it is in your career. And so I think you kind of go through all that. I kind of made one decision a while back, kind of changed my mind when I saw some things that were taking place. And so I think it's, you know, do you make the right decision? You hope you do.
And it's easy to look back now. I don't know if regret is the right word, but the decision you made in 2017, not allowing Kyle to do Indianapolis. I know it's a different time and everything's different, but do you look back on that differently, or do you still feel like at that time that was still the right decision?
Yeah, I think anytime you're confronted with something like that, you have to make the best decision you can. And number one for me is our NASCAR team. And so when I considered anything like that, the number one thing for me was, you know, the fact that when you race cars, things can happen. So you got to make sure that our race team is protected. So basically what I said was, if you can get me an insurance policy that says whatever races you would miss, okay, to protect our race team and our sponsors, you know, that I would okay it. But that's really hard to do. So anyway, I think, you know, we went through that with Kyle, and I understand kind of where he is too. I respect Kyle. That guy's gifted. He did so much for us. Okay, he had a big part in putting our race team where it is. I think he's 56 wins or something. And so it's a big deal for us. I really respect him. He and Sam and Brexton now, all they got going on. I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
We're going to wrap up here with Shane.
Shane Connick, Charlotte Observer. Coach, congratulations on All-Star Race victory.
Yeah, it was hard to come by.
Yeah. So now that's 3 All-Star races at North Wilkesboro. The crowd is into it. The drivers are into it. Now more lead changes than any All-Star race in history. So how cool of a racetrack is North Wilkesboro, and how important is it for the sport?
I think that the fans do a good job of analyzing things. I know you guys do. And so I think it's probably the groundswell, what everybody's going to say about it. I think there's probably going to be decisions made about the future. And I thought the crowd, you know, to me, was really good. And so that all normally has a lot to do with where we go and decisions about the future. So I just appreciate the people here. Everybody's wanted to get this back. I appreciate Marcus, everything they did, and the community. It's been awesome for us to get a chance to come back here to North Wilkesboro. So it's a thrill for us. And I won't be making that decision, but I think the way this race turned out and the crowd and everything, that'll have a lot to do with it. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach. And we will be joined shortly by Christopher Bell. Give you guys a few stats from today. As Shane mentioned, series most all-time green flag passes for the lead in the All-Star race. There were 59. There were 18 lead changes at the start-finish line, which is series most, and 1,426 total green flag passes, which is second most in the All-Star race. I'll finish reading my stats because we're now joined by our race winner, Christopher Bell, driver of the number 20 Mobile One Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. We will open up to questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start there with Scotty, and then we'll go to Steven.
Sky Sprinkle Race Face Digital. I asked Adam this question. Were you kind of surprised by how much the track evolved after just 1 year? And you said on the broadcast this is the best short track in the Cup Series. What do you feel like the key factor is here at the track that makes it so good and we're able to race a little bit more in the next gen compared to, a Bristol, Martinsville, Richmond?
Ah, man, that's $1 million question right there. So definitely having the progressive banking is helping. It helps a lot. But whenever we go to other repaves, the track just stays really narrow, and the track is very slippery until it rubbers up, and then once it rubbers up, it gains a lot of grip. And then if you get outside of the rubber, there's no grip. But here, for whatever reason, the rubber smears down and it gets really wide, and the whole racetrack becomes usable. I mean, there might be a little bit of marbles at the very top of 3 and 4, but for the most part, you could run all over the racetrack. So, having the progressive banking is a really, really big deal. And then I don't know. I don't know aside from that. I mean, the asphalt mixture it's really, really good. And normally we go to repaves, it's single file, and once that preferred groove rubbers in, that's all you got. But for whatever reason, this asphalt mixture mixed with the progressive banking just makes a great racetrack.
We're going to go to Steven, and then Shane, and then Matt.
Stephen Toronto, CBS Sports. Christopher, you mentioned some of the variables that made tonight's race really good, but, we've had those things at North Wilkesboro the past 2 years, and we haven't necessarily seen a racing product like that. There is one other variable that was in play tonight, which was the Martinsville tire. How much do you think the tire compound and any associated fall-off, combined with about an age now on this asphalt, contributed to the racing product we saw tonight?
Well, I mean, we have one race to compare to with, the first race being on the old asphalt doesn't relate. But, I do think that tire they brought is, it definitely helps us run closer together. And every time that we've gone to a tire test and we put these soft tires on, it allows us to, stay closer to the guys in front of us, and race a little bit better. So I do think that the tire is a big help, and hopefully it's a good step in the right direction. Goodyear's been doing a really good job of getting softer tires for the short tracks, and I think the intermediates need to start going in that same direction as well. So, it is a lot of credit to Goodyear to step out and make a soft tire like we have, and it seems to be working.
Go to Shane.
Shane Connick, Charlotte Observer. Congratulations, Christopher.
Thank you.
So, getting to victory lane today, to see the crowd, to hear the crowd, how cool is just being here at North Wilkesboro and getting the victory?
Man, they show up, and it's just absolutely incredible. We go out there for driver intros, and the place is packed. Was it you that asked me about the atmosphere a couple days ago? I mean, it's bumping. Like, it's amazing, and we need more events like this, more races like this. Like, I love that we revived this racetrack, and now with Rockingham getting revived and had an amazing Xfinity race, like, I think just continuing to go to different racetracks, that's the key for success. And you can't just beat the same racetracks up over and over and go to them twice a year. So I think continuing to diversify the schedule, get to where we're going to every venue one time a year, and you're going to see the crowds engage and have awesome electricity throughout the races, and it really is awesome to be a part of.
We'll go to Matt.
Matt Weaver with the Sporting News. I like to think that, winning the All-Star race is kind of one of those career resume checklist moments. And I kind of go back to that Netflix show, I wasn't in your plans kind of thing. Now that you've knocked one of those big moments off, do you start to feel like in the last year or so people are starting to include you in the plan and that you're viewed in any way different as a top guy?
I do feel that way throughout the industry. Like all of my competitors, respect me, or at least I feel respected by them. The garage members, the mechanics, the crew chiefs. I do feel well respected throughout the industry. I'm not a flamboyant person, and so I'll probably never get the press that some of the bigger characters get. But that's not me. Like I'm a race car driver, and that's what I do. I drive race cars, and I'm here to win races, and that's it.
It could have been in the moment, but Joey was a little frustrated with the contact, but he also said it's for $1 million.
Joey was frustrated.
Just a little bit.
He was frustrated.
Yeah.
That is interesting. And I genuinely would not have guessed that.
He said that because he was on the tire disadvantage, that he just felt like you didn't have to press it as hard as you did in that moment.
Well, I had got to him a couple times before, and he made it very difficult on me, as he should. And I got my run, and I took the moment as I should. And I don't think that I did anything that Joey has not done, and I've seen Joey do much worse. So we will continue on.
We're going to go to Dustin, Kelly, and then Peter.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Just a little bit more on that. Can you just tell me the last portion of that, how you're lining them up and the challenges and what you were going through, and just kind of take us through your eyes of making the attempt and having to fall back and then, pushing or moving them up, and just that type of racing we see at that point?
Yeah, so whenever I got into second place, I really closed the gap on him quickly, and I thought that it was going to be a pretty easy pass. And then whenever I got to him, he changed his line around to take my air away and take my line away, and it worked. And I got really loose on the outside of him in 3 and 4. He got away. He changed his lineup to block my line, and it hurt my pace for a while. So I thought I would be able to get back to him, and I kind of had to regroup for a minute. And then whenever I did get back to him, he was just doing a great job of defensive driving. Throughout the garage, I think Joey and his spotter are probably the most respected group or the best group in the garage at defensive driving and aero blocking and stuff like that. So he did everything that he could do to keep me behind him. With my tire advantage, I was a little bit faster than him and was able to generate the run. I knew that once I got position on him, I had to take it at that moment to win the race, and that's what I did.
Going into next week, having won that race, the 600 last year. So in the last year, you won the 600, have your ups and downs last season, and now you've won 3 races in this event. How have you grown, or how have you gotten better in the last year, and what are you doing now what are you or your team able to do now, not able to quite finish last season, where you guys are getting these results when you even had good cars last year and just did?
Yeah, I think really the last I don't know, 12 months maybe, I have a hard time seeing myself and what my strengths are and weaknesses are, and what I'm good or bad at. But in the last 12 months, I do feel like I've done a great job at maturing as a driver and finishing races off, where throughout the early part of my career, and really not even just NASCAR, even going back to dirt track races, my Achilles heel was I would beat myself at certain times. And really the last 12 months, Adam has been on me hard about just, making sure that I beat that tendency, and I don't think you'll ever completely beat it, but I have been able to see myself mature in that stage of just taking what's coming to us and getting to the checkered flag. And that really shows, this last 2 months or so. Like, we've been able to rattle off a couple top 5s, a couple top 10s, but the car performance has not been there, and we have not been a top 5 or top 10 car, and we're just, squeak out a good finish. So this weekend was a really good weekend for us to show up on the short track package and have a lot of pace and be able to run up front, contend for the win. And I think that we're lacking a little bit on the intermediate package. So hopefully we can continue to improve on that to where I can compete for the race, the stage wins, the race wins, leading laps, and we haven't been able to do that the last couple intermediates. So we need to keep making those strides in that intermediate package.
Did that maturing help tonight, or is that with the end of the race, or is that more as when you're talking about getting the top 5s, the top 10s from the cars?
Yeah, I mean, generally I've done well at closing out races whenever I'm the the successor or the aggressor. If I have pace in my car, I have done well at finishing races off. It's whenever I'm the one that's falling back or I have the slower car, I would get myself in trouble. I would spin out. I would hit the wall. I would wreck trying to overextend myself whenever it wasn't my day. So I don't know that tonight was an example of that, but certainly the last couple at Texas and Kansas and Darlington, those races are the ones that come to my head.
And we're going to go to Peter, and then we're going to wrap up with Reed.
Peter Stroud at TSJ Sports. Christopher, there's not a lot of fluke winners of the All-Star Race. Where does this rank among all your career wins so far?
It's pretty high. I would say that this one has to be up there with those round of 8 wins. Those round of 8 wins they're so valuable that I don't know how you top that except for that championship event, which is eluding me so far. But this it's definitely top 3.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. As the laps were ticking up toward 220, were you anticipating that promoter's caution?
Honestly, I was not. I was just focused on trying to close the gap on Joey on the long run, and it was so equal that the track was so nice that you could run different lines. You could run the top, you could run the bottom, and have pace at either lane. So I wasn't worried about the yellow flag at all. I was trying to size him up for the long run and try and pass him, in the closing laps. And then whenever the yellow came out, you never know how it's going to play out. Like I very easily could have lost the race. Joey did lose the race. Like it could have gone to any of us in the top 5 or 6. So I'm thankful that it went the way it did, obviously. And Adam made a great call to pit and put me on offense, and it allowed me to be the aggressor.
All right, Christopher, congratulations, and thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you. See you in Charlotte.
And to put a wrap on all of our announcements today, inspection of the NASCAR Cup Series garage is complete, and there were no issues.
Woo!